So thank you for coming in today. I appreciate the people that are here today. Because as we go along this journey, we could talk about just where we're at with our Native American education program, and for families who are unable to attend, we are recording it as well. And definitely, the input from our families to create our goals for next year. So this is our public hearing offered on Zoom. Ideally, hopefully in the future, we would like to do hybrid options or other ways. So today, our goals are obviously introducing ourselves, the purpose of the program, how the NAPAC or the Indian Parent Committee is a vital piece into this portion. We'll talk about the Title VI grant application and then talking about input from our families. And I see there's an error right there as far as any updates too, and then the closing. So that's sort of where we have our today. Today, our goal is to kind of just provide and hear what your thoughts are when it comes to the program, and then also the support that you think you would benefit from other families as well. So obviously, in context, this program has, I believe when I was asking Jessica, it's been about 5 years now that we've had this program. Starting with during the pandemic, we did I think what was called our Native American awareness sessions, right, Jessica? Is that what I recall? Yeah. And in this case, we are working, obviously today in this case, providing services that support our American Indian and Alaskan Native students. Um, and in this case, it's funded through the Office of Indian Education with Title VI the grant application. So our team, we don't really have a dedicated staff members as some other school districts do, right? Like Elk Grove, San Juan. Um, we have a support team, and so in this case, our support team are our staff members that include Kaya Silva, who's our district community liaison, Travis Burke, who is on this meeting, who is the executive director, and then myself, Heriberto Soto. And I work within, family and community engagement. All three of us are within special projects and equity department. So back in 2020, as sort of the origins of the program itself, with in this case, I kind of want to acknowledge Jessica, right? Because Jessica, in essence, started this call out asking families and community members who identified as Native. And that's sort of how it came to be that we started this program going on 5 years. And over the years, we've worked with gathering our parent committees, our different events that we've had throughout the district, right? Such as our fall gathering, spring gathering with the graduation recognition or powwows and big times and other type of events that we've had so far as well. Um, I do also want to acknowledge too, with our IPC, our Native American Education Program, our committee of parents. In this case, we're fortunate enough that we have members throughout the years that have been providing input. I do want to acknowledge that we have Ryan Combs here on in the Zoom meeting, and I appreciate his time being here today. Ryan, thank you for being a part of this meeting as well. Um, and I definitely want to also say that we have Albert Titman as our chairperson and Don Bassiano as our secretary. But I do also want to say that, with our parents too, um, we have a lot of people who work in education or native spaces, and that's something that is, commendable of the families that represent our district, right? As always, our NAPAC or parent committee composes of students who are Alaska Native, American Indian, right, attending our schools. There could also be our high school students that could be a part of this. Our teachers, counseling staff that, for example, like Jessica, tribal representatives from, nearby, our community members, and also these meetings are open to all parents, right, students and community members. We are always seeking, providing for input into the program itself. And I definitely want to appreciate, your time for being here today and providing input into the program. Um, I oh, I do want to say, like, for example, this is sort of where our program has been this year. We've had a fall gathering back in November. We've had a bingo night, and then we're scheduling our spring gathering. There are two items that are pending based on a projected agreement, which will be our mural project and then our tutoring services that are offered virtually with an agency. Our goal, as always, right, ties into three parts. This is something that's been ongoing over the last 5 years when it comes to increasing academic achievement, when it comes to, increasing knowledge and awareness of cultural identity and our native youth and our families, and also with our staff, and then also increasing, school attendance, and in that case, it will sync in with our graduation rates as well. Um, our budget that we've had, as with our student count, it has been around like 25,000 on average. Typically, we allot funds that tie into like field trips, consumables that are things that could be tied into our families when it comes to materials, and then a variety of different enrichment activities and academic supports. That's sort of what we've had, tying or using our Title VI funds. Um, I do, our program this year, as I mentioned before, we're sort of in this, it's been an interesting year, obviously, with things that have happened within the district with, the just with this teacher strike and just sort of trying to figure out how to create our team and coalescing about meeting together and discussing some of the ideas. Over time, right, we've had some really wonderful programming, and we want to figure out the best way to invite our families and community members as far as what we want to finish off for the rest of the school year, and also thinking about next year as well. So let me know if there's any questions too before we get into the next part. And I was always, we're always looking to asking for input. One thing that we started doing recently is doing a thought exchange. So thought exchange is this sort of like survey where you get prompted whether you're a community member or parent, and then the question that we want to be phrased was, how do we go as far as providing supports for our students with academic supports, right? And then also two, what are some of those strategies and ways to help increase attendance and graduation rates for Native youth? And throughout the past couple of months, we've had multiple conversations with our NAPACs, with our community members, eliciting ideas and conversations talking about more cultural connection, creating more opportunity for families to be together and providing those opportunities. And so in this case, this is something that we'll send out reminders for our families to provide input into the survey as well. Um, as a backdrop, right? Right now, we're in this grant application process. So part one, we did our student count. We had, 71 students that had submitted a 506 form on file. And then we received a notification from the Office of Indian Education that, we received almost $24,000 that could be used for supplemental services for next year. It hasn't really changed over time. It tends to be on average about where our numbers are. And I definitely I'm heading up to a portion of it where we'll talk about who our students are and our makeup of our graduate, our grade levels as well. Our goal for part two, which is right now where we're at, right, is sort of eliciting input from our families and our community members, tying into the program itself. Obviously the approval from our NAPAC IPC to, as far as what is proposed, and then sharing it with our state educational agency, which is something new that we are going to have this year. And this is sort of an opportunity for you to kind of hear back from you, the families that are here today, to kind of discuss what you'd like to see for our Twin Rivers Native American Education Program. Um, Budget is similar, something similar that we on average have had, right? We use some funds that are tied into our field trips, our consumables, when it comes to activities. And, this is something that we have as far as using the Title VI funds. So that could be taking students to the big time powwow event, right? That, was at Davis this current school year, right? Offering those kind of ideas for next year, thinking about connecting students to the American Indian Summer Institute. So there's a lot of programming that already happens within the community, and figure out how to best connect, and then what kind of things do we want to create those experiences for our families and our youth. In the last meeting, they talked about ways of creating more opportunities for families to talk about literacy and doing the enrichment activities that goes into the year. Um, Currently, this is sort of where we're at with our student population. Since we submitted our student count to now, we have about 83 students. Um, right now, we have four students that are in 12th grade. that are going to be graduating. And as you notice, there's a lot of students that fall within the sixth, seventh grade, eighth grade timeline. That means that, as our program has been going on almost 5 years, there's been more students who we've been able to connect and then and submit their 506 form on files. As you can see, our schools there we have students from across the district, right? We're a school district that encompasses four distinct areas within the district, right? One of the largest boundaries. We also have students from across the district itself, so it's pretty spread out based on where our students are, and it's something that I think that in our we're benefit that we are able to like offer a lot of programming and resources within this district. And so this is something that I definitely want to figure out the best way that you think would help benefit our youth and our families. Um, so I definitely want to figure out, this is sort of where I want to hear from our families today, just thinking about what do you feel are the most important needs that we will have for our youth and families for next year? And what kind of programs would you like to see and services? What are things that you think would benefit our families? And then what are some of the goals that we want to work on? So I definitely want to take time and just hear your ideas. I think the best way would be to kind of start just with the first question and then go from there. We have people who are, have a lot of knowledge, and I think, thinking about your lens as a community member, as a parent, as somebody who potentially have gone through the, American Indian programs in your own childhood, what do you think are the things that we have as far as needs for our families for next year? So I'll pause and then I want to hear your inputs, and then that way we'll take some notes. And then with also with Zoom, right? It allows us to also capture notes as well, and then kind of guides us to have that conversation. So I definitely want to hear from you all, just like where we're at with the program. What do you think are our families' needs that we'd like to see for next year?
Well, I would love to share a few ideas, but please feel free, Ryan and Samantha. Don't let me hog it, like, or kind of Zoom hog it. But I definitely want to see the tutoring component continue on. I know that's a vital um, requirement to the program. I believe to be in compliance, but I can let Heriberto double check on that because I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. Of course, I think that that's so integral to the program because, you know, students need it. And that's what we're in this business for, education. But I also want to see just some programming. And we've had a couple meetings where we discussed a variety of different programming. And so that's exciting. Things off the top of my head I can remember, but I know we also have notes too. So we talked about like ribbon, skirt, and shirt making, um, and different programming, maybe bringing back drumming. Um, Also just events in general. We've talked about collaborating with maybe like a multi-district powwow, visiting college campuses, um, different things. So I'd love to see all that kind of evolve. One thing that I also think would be neat, which I don't know if it would technically be part of this program, but it could be maybe pushed through this program, is to see some like indigenous cuisine served to our students, or maybe piloted with some of our students lunches and meals. So just different things like that that are creative and new beyond what we've already done. What do you think, Ryan? I know you've been on several of these meetings too, and you're the chair. Thank you so much for stepping into the role. It's good to see you. But yeah.
Yes, and I think everything you said was great. Culinary experience, I think, is awesome. As for myself, I'm just coming into this, so it's all kind of new to me still. But it sounds like the needs that are needing to be met are like things like tutoring and stuff. I think that is really beneficial to have this program for the students that need the help. Um, so I think that's pretty like number one on the list of things that needs to happen. And some of the other community get-togethers, like drum making, skirt making, and things like that are really beneficial. And just having um, families come together that are within the school district, I think is really good. Um, but I'm here for this program and to keep it going, and for whatever needs to be done, I'm here. So, and I appreciate being a part of this.
Thank you so much, Ryan. What about you, Michelle? It's good to see you. Hi, you guys.
Hey.
Glad you
Hi,
hopped
sorry.
on.
We're just walking to get our son.
Oh, good. Okay, no worries.
Um
So
yeah.
totally understand
Yeah,
multi.
so we are pretty new. We're pretty new to this programming. My husband is part Native American, so I just would really like to see more of that history and, for our kids to get to know get to learn the culture, and you guys brought up the culinary. We went to powwows and we've had Indian tacos, and I think it would be really cool to see that, the making of Indian tacos. And um, our kids are young, so we have a TKer, and I would really like to see some art, or any kind of arts and crafts. I mean, it's so rich in art that we just want to see more of that, but geared towards the younger kids.
Absolutely. I love all those ideas. And I like the fact that you emphasize the younger kids too, because like for instance, it comes to mind when we offered Apache pottery one year, and it was like so multi-sensory rich
Mhm.
experience because they had like little tools that were they could be used for younger kids or older kids, but little like kind of tools
Okay.
to do the pottery with, and then they had their hands all in the clay, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was fun. One thing too, seeing you
Okay.
on here, it reminds me of some discussion we had at one of our previous meetings about like a back to school celebration. Um,
Hmm.
and so I think that that would be awesome to push out this next year because, or in the 26-27 school year, because, well, like Heriberto was saying, like year to year, things have kind of evolved. And this year, I don't remember. I think our first event was the fall gathering in like November. So it'd be nice
Hmm.
if we could put something on the calendar like earlier on in the year and just kind of honor getting back to school. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know. I'm thinking of like names for it. Like, I don't know, like just different names that are coming through my mind. And so, yes, things like that, programming like that. Um, yeah. And Heriberto just
Yeah.
in the chat. Let me see what he said. And go ahead.
So one of the questions I have, just like I know that also Samantha is in this meeting, and then I definitely want to also welcome Mike too from Native Dads Network too. Just from your experience, Samantha used to work for San Juan Unified, the Indian Ed program, and now has worked for the Sierra Native Alliance, and also kind of want to hear back just kind of from her or from each of your experiences as well, just input into the program. I think for us, I think what I've heard or something that's kind of been consistent is just providing more opportunities for families to be together is what I've heard, what I've been hearing for the past meetings.
Hey Jessica, how are you doing? This is Samantha. I
I'm
want to say
doing
hi to
good. I
everybody.
didn't realize that was you. It's so good to see you. I'm glad you're
Yeah,
here.
hey.
Yeah.
So
Good.
there's a lot of things that we could do with the kids, you know. I was working at United Auburn, and I had taught the sixth, seventh, eighth graders there how to make smoked salmon from scratch. I mean, one of my specialties, I did graduate from ARC in culinary arts for my AS degree and got my culinary arts diploma and everything from another school. So I've been working in a restaurant my whole life, but teaching the kids the tradition on how to make smoked salmon. We could do fry bread. Maybe we could reach out to Snack and see if they have any grant money that they're not going to use for the summertime, and maybe we could grab that from them before. I mean, because I know they gave that to me one year for San Juan for Indian Ed, and I had a Native American summer camp for our kids. And I would love to see our younger kids come in because that's how we teach our kids at a young age. I mean, we did as part as sand paintings, we did drum making, we did rattles, we did plant potting. We read the, every activity we did in the summertime, we had a book with it. So if we're gonna make fry bread, we're gonna have a fry bread book for the kids. So they went home with about 20, 30 books within 9 days. We went on a field trip to the state capitol. We toured it, but we weren't really interested in it. But we went out there and see my Uncle Bill's statue out there, in where the flower garden is out there with all the Miwoks names on there. Ion Band, United Auburn, everything there. I mean, we could do that, and maybe we could do some skirt making, some ribbon skirts. I got a bunch of pine nets. We could do pine net necklaces with them. We just need some beads. I know we could maybe, we have Native Alliance here, Mike here. Maybe he could have an after school thing for our older kids, junior high or high school, and then talk about the history with them, get into detail with that. Maybe we could do some book clubs with our younger kids, have a book section with them out for an hour at night, and let them take home a book after what we read. I think that would be awesome. But there is a lot of ideas. We do have a lot of parents in this district that have a lot of talent, and maybe we can bring them in and have more activities. Maybe we could start a summer program. Um, I'm not sure how you guys do everything there here at this district, but I'm willing to come in and volunteer and help out any way I can with you guys.
Well, it's good that you mentioned summer program because in this case, I work or I fall. And Travis is here because he knows a lot about summer programs since falls within special projects and equity department. It's one of the program. The summer programs are one aspect of it that they oversee, right? So that's something that definitely I think it would be welcome as far as providing these type of resources for our youth.
Yeah, absolutely. We usually start planning our summer programs in October. So we can do a few things this summer. Small things would be great, but I was even thinking we always have a theme for our enrichment. It would be nice just to do a theme around like Native history or Indigenous groups in the area for everyone to connect to and learn about, and then it brings it to everybody, and then we can bring in specialists here and there who bring authentic things to the kids because I don't think they get it any other way, um, and they love it. So we can mix in art, we can mix in culinary, we can do um, just looking at the land, looking at how that's used, all kinds of stuff. I have to jump out. No, though, it was awesome conversations. Good to see this input and see it growing.
Uh, one thing, Jessica is he is it's his birthday. Yeah, so he was able to come in. So I think just some ideas as far as just like bringing in more opportunities for families to be together. I definitely want to figure out like how would that look like, frequency. One thing that we've been trying to figure out is how often do we want to meet. I know that, for example, something that we want to kind of model or look into, which is something that I'm happy that Mike is here, is sort of the work that they have done with Woodland Joint, as far as a mixture of both NAPAC meetings with parent groups and activities. And that's something that I think it helps. And then it's good that we have each of you here because all of you have been a part of or have participated in various native programs or been or even led or have all these ideas as well. I definitely want to figure out as far as like so thinking about next year, right? Like I've heard people express the need for more programs, for more activities, for inviting families to be a part of these. Are there any specific areas that we want to focus in? Um, anything that you think would help bring the work for next year? As far as I think something that I would like to kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then we could then I think suggest other, so like other kind of ways as far as helping or providing input into the program itself. So I definitely want to hear from you, the experts.
And I have to say this, Samantha, again, the tutoring has been really awesome that you guys provide. I know my daughter just did tutoring, and even though the holiday, the tutor was offering her tutoring during those holiday times, during spring break, during Christmas break, and she exceeded all her hours already for tutoring. And I know they're going to extend it, they said, sometime. I'm not sure when, but her math and English has came up very good. They were really down her grades, and then she brought them up just having that tutoring. I like to see more of that for our students out there. I know there's a lot of students out there struggling with subjects and whatever subjects they're in. Um, the education part, I mean, just about my kid was out of school almost a whole month of March, because she sat in the cafeteria all day when teachers strike, or she was outside playing, so she didn't really learn nothing. And the tutoring, she didn't have homework, so the tutoring helped her. If we could have more events, I could get a hold of some people at CIMC. We could do a disaster event for our families. They provide backpacks with surviving gear in case a disaster were to happen, and for kids. And then we have what Sierra Native Alliance. We could have them come in for our students also. I like to sit on them. I like to listen to them speak and teach the kids the real history of it. I enjoy listening to that. If there's other things out there we could probably do and bring people in, that would be great, like suicide prevention, um, cultural bullying for our students. Maybe we could get here Native Alliance to come in, or Snack to come in, somebody come in to teach that in a cultural way. Um, Narcan, I know they have this new drug out that's worse than fentanyl. I just learned about that, and the Narcan don't work on that. So, it's more things that we could do with our high school and junior high kids. A lot of peer pressure out there. So maybe we could keep building that and have those kind of events for awareness for our families.
Yeah, I like those ideas too, Samantha. Those are good ideas because they're a little bit of a pivot away from, like, I don't know, just kind of our traditional like programming we push out that's more like fun. And I mean, it still can be fun, but it's like has like a deeper meaning behind it. But I think it's relative to some of the risks and just real life of what, students are facing today. So,
Oh, for sure. I always offered that in San Juan when I was in Indian Med there. I offered the suicide prevention for our kids, even as little as third grade, because um, my daughter in third grade she was culturally bullied and she was assaulted in school. And so where she had a concussion, and then I had to bring, Calvin in, I had to bring Albert Pittman in, just because I worked there at the school. They're like, oh, it's a conflict of interest. And I don't want that to happen to even our parents that have kids at school and they work at a school. I don't want that to happen to them, and then with all the therapy and it's a lot, and for our kids to get back to where they are, I'm glad my daughter's doing better, but that has to be taught to our kids. I mean, not just the bullying part, but I noticed that a lot of boys that, are native boys that have long hair. We have native kids out there that try to cut their hair. No, that's why we have native dads come out also. And that'd be a good one too for our native dads to come out and bring that to our families too about, the culture of it, of why we have long hair. I know when my mom passed away, I cut my hair, and I hadn't cut my hair for like 10, 15 years. And so my daughter, when my mom passed away, she never cut her hair at all since she was born. So that it mean it there's a meaning to it, and maybe a lot of people don't know what the meaning is either. Why we have long hair? Why we don't cut it? I just think all we have all these talented people, Native dads, Native Alliance, they'll come in and teach our families a lot of stuff, not just educate them, but also our kids, because I don't know if our kids are learning our history, or learning the Native history like they're supposed to. I know that passed, but is it coming to the schools? Are the kids learning this? So, and it'd be great for them to come in and learn some things. Maybe we could do some things for our younger kids with Native Alliance. Maybe we could look into that.
So
Yeah.
I definitely I appreciate your input because I think in the past years, right, we've had a variety of different activities that ties into like enrichment activities, but we haven't had much that ties into just like more like deeper kind of conversations that ties into our youth and just experiences in the classrooms. I know they've had professional development for teachers, or they've had I think that's something that I think I would add, like with the layer of just like the connections that each of you have as far as inviting our community partners to be a part of these conversations where we can invite um, our families to be a part of. And I know that I've seen there's different events that happen within the community too that we could invite our families to be a part of as well. And I think those are definitely great things to kind of highlight and also like stress for our youth and families.
Definitely.
I definitely want to figure out like with our funds, right? As I mentioned, it we have about 23, 24,000 that we receive. It could be tied in or it could be used with consumables and field trips and cultural competency trainings and staff activities. And one thing that we recently with Native Dads Network, we've had as far as an MOU in which they could be providing services for our families or connect or working with together. I do want to figure out what will be some other ways you think would help as far as bringing in more youth to feel supported and connected. I know that, what Samantha mentioned already are things that, how, including our experiences from our youth in the classrooms and just things that are happening. And are there other ideas or things you think would help bring in as far as with our families and our work together?
I wonder if there's a possibility of, and I think we've talked about it in previous years. We've actually had some events that were arranged, but for different various reasons, maybe they didn't end up happening or coming to fruition. But like actually having like field trips to certain events. I know we had something arranged several years ago where we were going to bring some students to the different college campuses. Um, I think certain things like that, like maybe participating in certain cultural days, um, cultural events. I think that that could be something that we could further explore. Um, and that would, it would engage students and families. One thing too, I also want to mention while I'm speaking is that I think that we had some previous conversations about this too, but I think it would be great to kind of develop a logo and kind of maybe brand a little bit of our, maybe have like a TRUSD native logo brand that we could put on swag and have that like be representative of like our group, our Native American uh, parent advisory committee or a Native education group. Um, so
Yeah, I jump in. Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things, I'm sorry, I was getting out the office, so I'm on the road right now, so I have my camera on. So one of the things that we just did, just all this is suggestions. Um, One of the things we did for One Thing Unified that we have the ability to do is we recreated their logo. Not me personally, I have a graphic designer that I work with. He's out of Minnesota, and then he can send us a few different samples, but he charges. He charges. I believe like I want to be honest, about $350 to $400 for logos and other things. But the brand is ours, and he sends it to all the kind of formats we need for us to do printing and other things. And so he does, like I said, where he finds it. Like he works with us to see what logo community wants. That's just what he charges. So I'm sure there's probably other people cheaper out there, but that's the guy I work with. I've been working with him a lot of years. He's very trustworthy and kind of knows kind of like what I like, as far as logos, and so it's pretty good at it. That's one suggestion. And so another thing with is like an outreach booth. We just purchased for Woodland Unified like a canopy and like a tablecloth and table, just so when the parent committee wants to go to a tabling and they want to do any events, they have the ability to do that as well. And so another thing we're working on is, again, obviously having space. I know that's something that all NAEPs want to kind of build off of, try to have a space of their own, kind of decorated, have it like a space where they feel like the students can come to and feel like this is our home base, right? That makes it feel important. And I know that takes work, and space can always be challenging, but that's always something that we're going to keep. I want to advise the parent committee to always keep that on the forefront. We're always working towards that. You never know, one day something might pop up. But as far as programming is, again, every community is so diverse, and we always rely on parent involvement to kind of share what they want to see. And all the suggestions that Samantha mentioned, those are the ones we can combine. Like, hey, this is beating, but it's also going to be suicide prevention. Prevention awareness class. I mean, so we kind of combine the two topics together, and where they can learn something for the first half an hour, and then they get the next hour and a half. Maybe they could beat a bracelet or socialize and things like that, or do pottery, or do another kind of a event. So it's a way to combine two things in one. But I always find those very educational, and also it really supports what the work we're trying to do, is trying to with the youth and families. And always another thing too is always, for me, it's always about parent involvement as well. Like, we're not just inviting the students, we want to make sure the parents are always invited and make sure they have something to do too. So that way, they feel like I'm going there for myself as well. I'm getting something from this event. So I think anything you guys want to do, that's we have the ability to bring facilitators, whether it's, like I said, whether it's drum making, whether it's beading, whether it's skirt making, whether it's suicide prevention, whether it's substance prevention, Red Road, maybe a drum class. I don't know. We have the ability to do all those things. It's just those it's just having the facilitators to do it, and having the funds to access them, to get them in the building.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of like a sacred space or something for, just more connectedness, and kind of like that rooting of having like our own space. I don't know exactly what that could look like. Part of me wishes that we could get some amazing grant or something where we could have like a space on wheels that we could move around and be at different like school locations, and also maybe at the district at times. But some of these ideas might be a little far-fetched. I'm just saying, like, it can't hurt to share them out, especially because I know our meeting is recorded. But I think that would really help with students' sense of belonging in the district. I know that space is always pretty, like, a pretty sensitive topic, because we're always trying to provide, the adequate space for just the students in education in schools. But I wonder, like, if part of me wonders if there might be, like, because, like, for instance, North Lake is a huge new campus, and I'm just wondering if there might be a space there or just somewhere. But I think that that's a great idea too. And I know that there's been a lot of excitement around other school districts that have their own dedicated space. So thank you for bringing that up, Mike.
Yeah, I think those are all great ideas. I love what I'm hearing. I was wondering when we're going to meet in person. I thought we were going to have a meeting in person. Anything about that?
So,
So,
so we were sorry about that. We met, I believe it was last week, right, Jessica?
On Zoom, yeah. Was
It
it?
was Zoom and it was in person. It
Oh,
was a hybrid
hybrid.
meeting,
Yeah.
and then that's sort of what we had scheduled to kind of like bring in. I definitely think that we should definitely schedule time to meet again with everyone's schedules and discuss some of the ideas that are from just from today. Um, because and what I'm hearing right is like developing a program that will offer multiple opportunities for families to come together and offering in this case I think like the design of a logo is something that I think would help increase awareness right of the program and as Mike mentioned right putting it into a table cover putting in a canopy being out and representing um,
yeah,
the various like our families and I think providing for example, if we had our parent committee with our youth at these cultural events that are around the community and bringing youth to the various existing programs that happen on like on Saturdays, right? I think being more opportunities to bring for youth, and I think that's something that I definitely think is something that I would recommend based on just prior experience scheduling time to kind of like meet in like in person or who was able to meet in person right on like in June to kind of talk about like what they envision next year to look like and then kind of making the connections that each of you have to kind of play put into enriching an experience and then I think that would probably bring a lot more energy into this and meeting often and I think that's something that I definitely have seen from my lens just from my observations being a part of this program with Jessica and some other part people in guiding these conversations.
Yeah, definitely. Um, and then we can kind of get a jump start on planning for next year. Um, that would be great. I know,
yeah,
and I don't know if you've seen Ryan, but we probably have, although I know there's a lot of messaging that comes out from district, but there's been some recent messaging that's come out about the spring gathering.
yeah. I
Um,
did see that.
so that's exciting.
Yes, I can't wait. Yeah.
And that will be an opportunity for us to all come together. Um,
Yes,
yeah, of course, before June. So,
yeah,
mhm,
yeah. I look forward to that.
mhm.
I don't know how or what that will look like. I mean, as far as us all getting together and sitting down and talking about it. But, I I know that's going to be a great opportunity, though. I mean, because we'll all be together, so that will work.
Yeah. We did it in a previous year. We met at Highlands one year. It just happened to
Okay.
be the school site where I think some additional work was being done by some of the staff. So we met there. This was with our previous equity director, Katrina Calloway. We had a meal, we shared a meal, we just really brainstormed ideas, and she had some data on slides and things like that that we were able to look at and review.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just, like a great brainstorming session to try and get ahead of the next school year because as we all know, like once you hit the ground running, it starts going fast and there's also variables like we don't anticipate, right? Like the strike. I mean, we also experienced the pandemic one year, like, hopefully nothing like that happens ever again, either of
Yeah.
those things. But it's always nice to go in feeling kind of prepared with a framework that we can use as our guide. So
Yeah.
that would be great. I don't know what part of June. The last half of June is kind of for me is trickier. I'm actually going out to Tulsa and Tahlequah to Cherokee country.
Oh
So
wow.
if there's any way to do it in the first half of June, that would be better for me. But I'm not the only person in this group. I just kind of throwing that out there.
I definitely recommend before mid-June. Just I definitely want to hear just from Mike and Samantha too, like just your experience, working in school districts, based on what you've seen with Woodland Join and with San Juan. What are the things that you think would help with our programs and our parent group? What are some ideas that you think we should definitely emulate or copy, or things that we should definitely bring um, to offer for our families, or things that you think would help our work?
Herberto, someone's
Yeah.
in the waiting room. If you could let them in, I was having a little trouble with my mouse
Uh,
over here. Thank you. Oh,
Hello,
perfect.
Robert. Yeah. Hey, good to see you, Robert.
Lateness, picking up the girls from school.
Well, thank you for logging in. I'm excited that you're here because I heard that you're going to be drumming with our drum class, right?
I think it was something with Mike, I believe. But I don't know if it was drumming, but yeah, I know some songs. I know a few songs. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Thank you for logging in too, Robert. I appreciate just you being in part of these meetings, and with Wendy as well. Um, just like gathering input, and when it comes to the programs and just things that you think we want to like start working on for next year. Um, Things that you've seen from the work that you do with your community partners, and things that we definitely want to bring forward.
Yes, totally. At the moment, I'm really on the not on the I'm on the right track right now. I'm trying to be on it, but yes, I'm totally didn't mean to interrupt you, but yes, totally on board with anything else additional that we can bring to the community, of course.
So I know you guys were talking about field trips. Um, in September, there's a big time up at Tassay Indian Grinding Rock in September, and that's where basically a lot of local California tribes can come in and dance. Um, you get Miwoks, Pomos, Yurok, Big Heads. They all come up there and dance, and they sell Indian tacos up there. They have they offer a dinner at night. Sometimes it's venison, smoked salmon. All the traditional foods that they eat, and then so that'd be a good part right there for our native students to go. And I know some students never been to a big time, some students never been to a powwow. There's a difference there. We dance in a roundhouse up there, and we dance all night long and all day long, and it's nonstop. They go out there, the kids out there sometimes play Indian football, and then you have the sweat ceremony in the back where they're sweating and praying for everybody that's dancing and being there at the big time. Would that be considered as maybe taking our students on a field trip up there on that Saturday? It's the day after of Native American Day that day.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great experience for the youth.
Yeah. I love that idea. I think too, also potentially having a Twin Rivers, booth at the day before at the event, I think it's at the Capitol. Can't remember. Um, that might be something as well as to consider, but I love that idea, Samantha.
Because I know this June, I can't remember what day. It's the beginning of June. It's a Saturday. They have Honor Elders Day at the State Indian Museum downtown. So I
Mhm.
mean, you have the Aztec dancers there, the Miwok dance, the Pomos. You get different dancers out there, and it's been a big venue out there with everybody out there selling things. Everybody gets to talk, and not only that, but they could also talk to the elders. Hey, get more information, learn some history from them too, and then tour the back and the Indian Museum at the same time. And it's free for the Indians to go into the museums anyway. So I mean that'd be a good experience for them also. And I'm not sure if O'Neill Park's going to be going on in August. I'm not sure, but I'm sure we can all find out on that one. They have a powwow on Friday night is California night, and then Saturday and Sunday is the powwow.
Absolutely. Love all the I love all these ideas flowing. Um, and I'd like that. I just like the idea of getting out in the community and just, taking advantage of, experiences for our Native students and community.
When I used to do events for San Juan for our Indian education program, I didn't keep it at one place. I moved to different schools, you
Yeah.
know, and always ask the schools or, somebody, I can't remember who it was, but see if I could use a room or a cafeteria or a library and hold an event, whether it's a beading event, whether, it's some kind of event for our students, even if it's, like suicide prevention or awareness, some kind of prevention for our students to learn at the educational part of it. So I always try to change it to different schools, whether it's elementary, high school, or middle school. Maybe we could look into that instead of just having that, district office.
Yeah.
Maybe most of our families have are more natives or at one school here, try to hold it there as many, that's what I always try to do is hold it for them at different places and locations because some natives don't have cars, or transportation to get anywhere. So maybe we should think about that too.
Absolutely. And I think that might be worthwhile looking further into at like our planning meeting. Like where is the, where's the different kind of it's like kind of little, segments of our population of Native students. Like what schools do they attend? Oh, here we go. Perfect, Heriberto. Reading my mind. So, and I think rotating around is a good idea because you're right, absolutely. It's access, right? And there's barriers to access. And so um why not be thoughtful about that, and try to rotate around. Maybe we have it in a multi-purpose room, one event in a multi-purpose room here, one event in multi-purpose room in this other area of the district, so forth and so on. Looks like there's quite a few. Well, I mean, there's between Regency Orchard. Yeah, this is good. Nice breakdown.
Okay, you have a couple families, at least, you know, 12 based on what I'm seeing right now, is just from the Real area, right? With Regency and Orchard, for example.
Yeah. One thing too, I seeing Regency up there, I know the principal there is Melissa Rosovic, and that's was my former principal for many, many years when I was in the classroom. And she would always allow me to do land acknowledgement at the beginning of our school-wide events. And I think that that might be something that we can also add to our radar is maybe looking at, trying to advance that from an equity perspective, a racial equity perspective, like advancing the land acknowledgement within our district. Um, Maybe getting behind that as a group, um, and seeing how we can work towards developing that. I know they've done that in other school districts, um, and it's become a norm before their public meetings and their programming and events. And so that's a suggestion that we could probably add to our to our ideas.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know San Juan. I know there's a couple of elementary schools every month when they have assembly, they do their land acknowledgement. I mean, even a couple elementary schools made their own land acknowledgement. Which was awesome before we even planned our land acknowledgement. And so I'm not sure if this district has a land acknowledgement. I'm new to this district, so this is my first year in the district, and I live. My daughter goes to Frontier. I live around the corner from the high school, Foothill High School, down the street from Foothill Ranch, and it's I think Woodbine Elementary. So I'm right here in the neighborhood, and I'm not sure what they do. I'm still getting to know everybody at the school still. So um, that would be great if they could do that, so the kids will know because kids don't know that there's natives here, and my daughter experiences it all the time, and she's always talking about this is no, this is what they do. She always has to correct the teacher, and I tell her, don't correct the teacher, just listen, just pay attention, don't bring stuff up like that because we don't know if it's appropriate or not yet for you to talk about certain things. So I mean, I'm not sure if they have land acknowledgement. if you guys created one, maybe that'd be a good one for, the parents and the school district to come with the equity and Native American PAC members to come up with the acknowledgement, and then ask our elders if they approve of it, and other, even the tribes, the surrounding tribes, asking them. So that's one thing we could do. I'm not sure.
I would say that it would be welcomed by various board members. I definitely think that the the experience of community requesting it to be a part of it. I know that various school districts already have it in place, and it's something that has been brought up in other conversations by district and like community members as well. So I definitely think that like for you, Samantha and Michael and Ryan and Robert reaching out to our board members and mentioning it's something that to bring in highlight and then to implement um, starting into the new school year, right? With the hiring of a new superintendent and with new board members, I think that would be something that would be well appreciated. But I think it takes you as community members to reach out to your board members and connect with our district leadership as well, for it to kind of start. I think it's something that definitely has been brought up I think you have mentioned, like with San Juan and some other school districts, definitely for sure.
Yeah, and also I wanted to mention that I have several of the board members, if not all of their like contact information, like phone numbers and such. And so if if anyone is interested, you all can definitely reach out to me. I'm putting my cell phone's in the slides, and I think you guys have a copy of all of it. But I also just threw a link to like the TR website of meeting the board, and I think their email addresses are referenced on there. And so that's an opportunity as well. But it definitely helps when we have um, just parents and community reach out to the board members. Um, Especially, I think about something that's as meaningful as this. We could look at it from the perspective of the fact that, which was similar to how I used a little bit of the angle to help advocate for the need of a Native American education program in our district, because when I looked at the other districts in the area and then we didn't have a program, I felt as though we were behind from a regional best practice perspective. And so I used that to help advocate for getting a program started. And so given that there are several districts that have already adopted a land acknowledgement and have one in use, I think that same approach could be used. Like we want to have, we want to be current with best practices in our region. So anyways, if anyone wants to chat with me more about that, we can do it off the public meeting recording. and but feel free to just text message or call me.
Well, Jessica, I mean, you supported San Juan with their land acknowledgement, and you were pretty involved in it because your nephews, in that district. So, I mean, I'm willing to chat with you face to face or whatever. I think I still have
Oh,
your number in my phone, so we could talk back and forth. So
yeah,
I
definitely. If you
will
want to
support.
go get coffee or something, whatever. Like,
Yeah, I'll support the district of having it. And so I'll try my best, whatever I can do to help out.
thank you.
I
Hello.
yeah, Robert.
Sorry, I was trying to say something. I was just, just anything else with broad of everything and knowing the students. You think we can hopefully orchestrate something like with a workshop with the kids to know more of the kids, be more inclusive, be more hey, I know you down the street or something like that, down the street, down the ways, just to bring people together. Certain times of the year, like winter time, the springtime. I'm just saying, just using that as an example of just bringing more people together and bringing people to know throughout the year of each students and then their future, of course. Um, Knowing other things about their tribes, personal not necessarily personal, but obstacles in their school, um, things like that, and of course, their own spiritual type of healing as well as anything else that we can help with each other, of course.
Definitely. We talked about that before you hopped on, Robert. I'm glad you also are in support and emphasizing it. We talked about like a back to school kickoff. Like I pulled up on AI some kind of, themed names like I don't know, um books, beads, and backpacks, back to school native style, like a kickoff, like where we come together and we have food, a meal, and just really be delivered and kind of kicking off the year and not waiting till our fall gathering, which is in November, kind of getting a
Mm-hmm.
jump start on it. And then if we can do something like that, and then we can also do our fall gathering and then different programming in between there too. I love all the ideas of more frequently bringing each other together and our families together. So, um, yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
It'd be more like bringing a meal from their tribe to, and then of course empathize with that, and then we can branch off of making fried bread, making washabi, that pudding cake, all those little things that we could fill in the gaps, and of course be more hands on. I guess I want to say, that's kind of, I think we're kind of lacking on that. I was lacking on it, if you will, of being more hands on at things and learning things, of course. Totally.
Yeah, I would love to see if we could somehow partner with, I don't know if that's Bigfoot or stuff. I don't know. There's multiple like people out there I think that could help, but like maybe even like a fry bread, like demonstration and making class or something like. I don't know, but I love that. And we talked about in our last meeting, which I think you were on, Robert, about how potluck is ceremonial, and I may or may not have like fry bread in my refrigerator right now, but um, but yeah, definitely. I like the fact of sharing the meal and then bringing the meal. And I think Heriberto and Travis were going to follow up to see if we could maybe even do, in addition to the food the district provides, but also do like maybe a potluck, or allow some potluck for some of our upcoming events. So I love the idea of sharing a meal, and just
I,
getting to know the different um,
I,
aspects of the different tribes and our students and where they come from.
I mean, hearing just some of the conversations, I think that something that we could try to schedule by, before the end of the summer is sort of a time for families to come together, and I think I kind of like a time to be together and then bring up some of the conversations that we've had over the past couple of weeks and months, and then thinking of what, like inviting families to come bring a dish, and then I think that would be great. And I think definitely acknowledge, as you mentioned, right, like starting out the year with like book speeds and community, and then going from there to some of the things that we want to offer. Some of the ideas as far as purchasing materials, books, that we want to definitely offer for our youth and our families. And I think a lot of the things that you're all of you have mentioned as just building community and then being more intentional in our work, bringing more opportunities for families to meet together, being um, offering events that are not at the district office but across the schools that we have our youth in. And I think those are definitely things I think and then also too, like thinking about our spring gathering and a way to invite our community members. And then I think it's a good way to also invite our board members to be a part of. And then I think that will kind of highlight the needs of our families for next year as well.
Definitely.
Well, I definitely want to
I have one
just
more.
hear.
I have one more question, and
Yeah, go
this
ahead.
is short. So the budget that you have this year is this? It just pertains to this year of 2026, and then renews in 2027, or how does that work?
So we have a budget that we received through, because we have about 70 to 80 students, about 23,000 that we have just for our native programming, right? We have other budgets that we use. So, for example, if it's our family engagement LCAP, or if it's my community engagement initiative funding that we get that ties into family engagement, we have those fundings, those pots of funds as well. And then typically, if Travis would be here, there are some other family engagement or other type of one-time funds that we will have also as well. So it kind of varies depending on the funding that we have. But for example, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was wondering, just based on this final year, because it's getting close to June and then a lot of the graduations, how much programming are we looking at doing from now, which is beginning of May, till June or till next school year? Are we looking at, or are we just really kind of planning for the beginning of September, and starting at a new, or we're looking at summer programming, maybe a GONA? I mean, like what is how are you trying to spend down that money? And how I know I should have asked this a long time ago, but it's just kind of all clicked right now. Um, so are you trying to? But my small point, are you trying to spend it down by the end of the year, which is 2026, or are you trying to spend it down in between the end of this school year?
So we have funds still from this current school year that we would look into. I would say like using or having it be encumbered is what the term is. So that way it could be by activities that are done over the summer, right? We have funds too that are the ones that for part of this public hearing is it ties into sort of the funding or some of the ideas that we want to implement for next year. So the 24,000 that we will have that ties into native ed funds will be going into, let's say, for the program for next year. But there are definitely things that, for example, based on the hearing from the conversations here, like purchasing books that ties into activities for youth, some of the materials that ties into drum making, uh, beatings. A lot of the things that have been proposed today are things that we could definitely purchase with the idea of offering those at an event over the summer, or it ties into potentially the mural project that we would like to offer. And those are different things that you as community members, I think, will help drive the work. And I think your experience as well as far as your connections and who would what would work best to like.
I believe it. I kind of understood what Mike was saying too. It's like on my own thing too. It's like just that the gap, of course, it's like it overlaps to the next month or something. Is that what he was trying to say?
I I don't know, Heriberto, correct me if I'm wrong, or Mike, obviously, but I was just curious if he was just wondering like what we're trying to push out between now and the end of this year, or are we talking more about the 26-27 school year? Because I know we have the spring gathering. I know I think there was some emails about this Sierra Native Alliance summer programming. There was some, I know we're kind of trying to explore maybe some of that for something summer. But would it be correct in saying that we have what, about 23,000 that we need to use, and we can use it for purchasing supplies and things that we can carry over into 26, 27, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Roberto? But then we use that to fund the spring gathering and then,
Yeah. So
right?
so there'll be materials that are being purchased for the spring gathering, but there are funds that we could definitely purchase for materials that ties into things that we want to offer for our families or over the next year, also over the summer, depending the suggestions of our community as well.
I have something. As the spring or the spring thing you're having going to happen, what is the direction? As in, I just had it myself. Um, as in, what types of things were going to happen there? Like, it's going to be just food or an agenda or type of talking points or anything like that for the spring fling there.
Well, the spring gathering itself is something that we started about 5 years ago, and it's been ongoing where it is an opportunity for families to come together and recognize our youth who are graduating or going through various milestones. And in the past, we've had an MC who helps facilitate our event. We invite guest speakers to be a part of it. We have some community partners to be there, and then we acknowledge our youth who are either starting their journey in kindergarten or who are going to be moving from elementary to um, junior high or junior high to high school, and then junior high to or sort of it's a way that we've have had ongoing now, and it's something that many of our families show up just to see their kids celebrate, right? Something that we just started just ongoing, and that's what the spring gathering is. Um,
Yeah, we give them like we provide a gift for
So
the
the thing.
crossing over. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
No, sorry, that was me. Sorry.
Okay, so I was gonna say we provide a gift for the students crossing over. We provide a really nice certificate. There's the being in community. We generally have a keynote speaker. I think we were trying to work on securing one, and just being in community. And then believe it or not, I generally feel like that usually takes like I mean, we're usually like it goes into the evening and we're wrapping up pretty late, you know. That's usually a really wonderful event. So
Okay, I wasn't sure the name of it. Usually, I thought it was like grad night for the graduation issue, at graduation honors, and then I thought it was something else that brings you guys together for the spring in a different type of environment. And that's cool. That's awesome. Just wanted to verify the names of each of them. That's all. Thank you.
of course. Are you saying something, Mike? You're on mute.
So one of the things I just want to make sure we, I know every listening to the community. I mean, I'm a planner, so I just always like to get organized in the planning. What I mean, and again, one of the things is creating something that represents the community, and so I just don't want to overstep my boundaries, everyone. You know what I mean? I'm trying to listen in and trying to fit in, and trying to, because I know usually Albert's in this meeting, and Albert has a way to facilitate things. My brain works a little bit different. I'm like, go, 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 like just make it happen. And again, that's something we'll have to, we'll, like as we go forward, like that's why my mind works. Well, how much money we have to work with, how much plan, how many do we want to do throughout the year? If we're looking at, if we're doing a field trip, what's that going to cost? Are we going to have facilitators for each event? What's that going to, what are we planning? Supplies, like my mind goes all the way there. That's why I was wondering what we had to work with. Maybe something. When we start to really after the spring gathering, I think it'd be a good opportunity. This is because having more parents there and more community there to do to have maybe a Google form, maybe a QR code or something, asking the community what they want to see, what kind of. I don't know. I think you guys already done that maybe, but we could maybe do it again, and even locations. I love the idea of moving it around. I thought that was a great idea. You got to move where the people are at. I think that's where you'll get your numbers. Is that even possible? You know what I mean? Will there be any kind of complications getting our doors open or letting our families in the evening time? I think that's another question that we need to find out that could be answered. And then again, if that's where we're targeting in the next, I think next year would be a great time to kind of promote and advertise for that community to be aware. Hey, look at what's coming to your community. What's closer to you. Would you be able? Would you even want? Would you even attend? Right? If we did these classes closer to you, like and kind of promote it that way, because people travel, and again, food food is always good. That we know that's always a staple, whether it's potluck cook or catered. People like to go and eat and socialize and learn. But also, again, what are we providing? What I mean, as far as that makes it special. So when they do want to come, it's feel like they're gaining something from it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of my approach. And so whatever we got to do to make the wheels turn and keep rolling. I think the consistency of the district just kind of showing up, providing space. I know there's small groups now, but the idea and hope is that I'm thankful that everybody's on here tonight because the wheels will keep turning, and we need people here to make decisions for these things to happen. And so like you said, we're just part of the puzzle. You know what I mean? So to make it work for your community and your youth.
I think with that, I definitely agree, Mike, that we need people who are planners and to carry on the work. And I definitely appreciate, your knowledge and experience. And I think that's something that we want to look into and schedule a date sooner than later, right? Early June, and then talk about what that looks like and based on uh, your knowledge and experience from people that are here on this conversation. We have a lot of educators here in this meeting that I think would carry on, and I think that for us, right, our support staff, in this case, we're not dedicated staff members, but I think your ideas and what works, and also thinking about scheduling that will be something that will help our work for next year. And so definitely, when I say next year, next school year, but also too like thinking about like how do we want to lay the groundwork. And so I definitely appreciate your energy, and I definitely want to find a time that works after the spring gathering, and then that way we could put kind of our ideas into place.
Yeah. Maybe we can get a little doodle poll or something out, or one of those scheduling polls out to throw out some dates and lock it in for, all the graduations. And because I know that's a piece we have to navigate in early June. We can throw out some dates and get that locked in. Um, and then we can have a really nice framework for the 26-27 school year.
Is there notes for tonight and other future events or things I missed, probably missed to minutes of the meeting that I can read up on in the bulletins, of course? Is that going to be something available to us?
Yeah, I will definitely make sure to after the meeting ends to kind of gather the notes that we've taken and then also share with you. And then that way we have people just kind of what's been discussed and then sort of this recording to this public, and then that way we could kind of schedule time to go forward and meet. Um, is there, for example, just to since we have people here, when is a good time to schedule time to meet and kind of discuss what as far as I know that thinking about where we want to see the funds used and then thinking about who and I think that's something that I definitely appreciate your energy and also thinking about when's a good time.
Are you meeting in June?
Well, I mean, from the people that are here, yeah, it's just like finding out when do you think when we want to meet again.
Every
In
month,
this case, yeah.
month sounds good to me. I'm always up for like around this time every month. Of course, we all need a heads up, of course, and a daily reminder, an hour reminder.
Yeah. Right.
He
Keep it
needs a
on.
long talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it comes down to all that. We all know what to do and thing, with anything, and of course, everything
Mhm.
takes time, of course. But I'm always up for talking amongst all of us. Um, I'm hyped. These are kind of things that I feel that it's more important for all of us um to be involved. I try to be involved with PTA, and good luck with that one. and But I really try to put my efforts and my somewhat know-how of things of things get done. Like what Mike was saying, that it's who we are as people, is to also as what we're here to um absorb each other's presence and of knowledge of everything that we all daily uh, obtain through our kids, and it's always about the kids. I felt like that was always about the kids to make sure that we they see that, and they see what my grandmothers and my grandpas and my uncles done, and then we saw that too, and then now the kids will see that, and this is what community is about. I know COVID really, probably put a few kids back. We kind of bounced back from it because we you know we didn't have that extra time apart, so I figured this would help kids to bring back out, come out, and to be one, with all of us again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Um, if we're and thank you for your willingness and your availability. And I just wanted to kind of throw out there, if we're thinking, like, I don't know how exactly if this is going to be like a few hour type planning session or whatever. If we're thinking in June, like basically my last day is the of work is contractually is the 5th. So I don't know if the week of like the 8th might work um at some point. Um
I think it should meet sooner than that. I think this like if everybody on here is willing to meet in May, I think we could
yeah.
jump on something quicker than that and get this budget kind of organized, and so we at least know where we're spending the money at. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, and it's and parents, I think that's what I'm trying to urge you guys. Like, let's make some decisions where you want to go and give you some options. I think I think that'd be more of our part is like, what's the options, and we'll just listen from listening to you where we want to spend this and how much, and see what things cost. I do have a good idea of what, like, a presenter and travel, and or if we were looking at supplies, like, I think as a group we could I guess project numbers and say, oh, this would cost, how much it costs for beads, and this would it cost for drums, this would cost for skirts, this would it cost for pine nuts. I mean, if we came together and
Yeah.
we could put all those numbers together, and or like I said, or a Gona or a gathering or food, like I think we put our minds together, we could put a solid budget, and we would know exactly, and we could just go forward, just planning the events. You know what I mean, throughout the year, like back to school night, what would that cost? And again, what are we providing for that? I know one thing that Walmart does, they give out backpacks, through nonprofits. We could put a letter into Walmart and see if they would give us any backpacks we could hand out to students. There's school supplies. There's other things that we could do to, gang to just, I mean, to get families into the building so they could hear, to come, and support the Indian education program. So just again, who wouldn't want a free backpack? Even if it's one you don't like, you're like, let me see what, check it out. You know what I mean? Go sit down with some our people, and have a dinner, and hear what they got to say. You know what I mean? So there's ways to get people in the building. We just got to be creative, and and figure out what works best for your guys' community to get people to participate in what we're trying to do. Numbers matter, right? We do want people to show up. We're going to do all this work, spend all this money. We want to make sure people show up, and so it takes all of us to do that.
Mike,
Yeah.
t give us what is a date that works for you?
Well, Mondays nights are good, like tonight. If we look at Monday night and we're looking at May, I would say, let me see. I'm
Like the 11th? Are we thinking later in the
No,
month
I
or
think 11 is perfect. May I'm kind of open just because we got ceremonies. And I'm gone mostly on the weekend, big heads all weekend. So I'm usually gone, but I'm back on Monday mornings, and I'll be in functioning back on Mondays. I think the Monday nights would be good. 11th would be great if everybody's available.
I'm
okay.
Do
open for
we
that one.
Yeah, the 11th works for me.
That could
do you
work
want
too.
that to be in person, virtual?
I think in person, I mean, I feel like if we're gonna kind of if we're thinking of sharing a meal and getting together, but I'm open to virtual too. Like, that might be a good night too. We can work out any like little final, kind of minutia that would be related to the spring gathering, which is that same week, I believe. Um,
So May 11th, at what time? 6? 5?
Like,
Here at the
Maybe.
district office or somewhere closer or what's
Yeah, you got everybody stuck. I
I feel like
think
the location could be to be determined as long as we at least have a date kind of carved out.
okay?
We could figure out like I personally would love to meet with you guys in person and um, maybe hammer it out. But again, I'm open to doing Zoom too. Whatever's easiest for people, really. And then we have our spring gathering on
The
the
14th.
14th, so that Thursday.
that'll be a good opportunity for a plan. Kind of open that door for that too. You know what I mean? Get like a game plan with us, and then kind of present it at the spring gathering, like what we got kind of planned.
I think
I
I
agree.
yeah, I recommend in person if possible. That way, everyone's in the table having conversations, creating a plan as you mentioned, and then based on all of your experience on when it comes to programming and connections, I think that would help us.
Yeah,
Does
definitely.
Yep.
that does that work?
Yeah, I agree. Yep, in person's
Yeah.
fine with me. I'm good with it.
On the 11th, and then yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
Cool.
I want to come back to what Mike said about how Walmart has like a nonprofit for backpacks. Um, um, Red Hawk, Shingle Springs, they also have a grant, but you have to be a nonprofit to get that grant. We could use that grant for cultural, you know, to buy things for beading or even whatever we want to, whatever you guys want to do with it, right? And we, if it's possible, will we be able to go to through Native Dads for their nonprofit to get that grant for it? To be part of that, and also reach out to Snack because I know when I was at San Juan, Snack gave me $15,000 to buy whatever I wanted, and I just wrote down what books I wanted, beads, abalone, whatever I wanted, and they purchased it everything for me, and they shipped it to the district office, and they would ship it to you, or if you could pick it up, either way. So I would really look into that instead of just looking at what you have budget wise for the year. Just
Mhm.
just look out, open that box up
Yeah.
and this, if it's possible, if it's okay with you guys. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, definitely. I love that idea.
I I think that like a lot of the things you mentioned like are things that I know will benefit us. And so I am thinking, May 11th, 6 p.m. invite, for you. Imagine here is what I'm guessing here, the district office to discuss and think about our programming and our ways that we want to present that plan to our families, and in that way share it with our community on the 14th, and then your connections that you have as far as proposing that with grants that could be with, Multi Rancheria, with Red Hawk and other Snayhag and other partners to supplement and add to the programs we want offered not only to our families within the district, but also our neighboring Native Ed programs. And I definitely think will help us from the district side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Most definitely. Maybe I could help out and maybe try to get more kids into the program if it's okay with you guys, and maybe you guys could ask the district how we could go about doing that. Like the face department has what food distribution like twice a month. Maybe the Indian Ed could set up a table where faces and try to get those families in if they go to these places. I don't know if you guys keep it at one spot. I know San Juan, the face department used to move from school to school to school, and I had to follow them school to school to school, and that's how I was getting families in to our program. You know, um, if we have somebody that could do that, if not, maybe if it's okay with you guys, I'll sit there at the school and try to get families in. Just have those 506 forms right there and your Native American tutoring forms or whatever other forms you guys have, and just pass them out to our families and get them signed up. Just bring them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that makes our grant grow. So,
All right. I will send a calendar hold for May 11th. Is there Do we want to call it just like a planning time? What is to just invite people from this meeting today, invite part of our NAPAC, and then and other members who want to just provide or create a plan? How do we want to go about it? And then that way I could then invite our group. What do you recommend?
Yeah, that again. I missed that last part.
So May 11th, invite people that are in this meeting and also invite anybody who wants to be part of it. That's what I'm guessing.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry. Yep.
Sounds
Yep.
good.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I work in progress, man. We'll all do our part and make it big.
Yep.
Well, I definitely, like I said, Mike, and Samantha, we're impressed with the work that you've done with those schools districts that you worked in and community partners and I think we need people like the group here to kind of provide more guidance and more input into our program, and then I will bring in more families to come together. Um, so thank you again. I think I'm looking at the time as 6:34. I appreciate the energy, the ideas, the collaboration, and I will see you in person in 2 weeks from now.
All
All
right. Thank
right.
you. See you guys
Yeah.
Sounds
soon.
good.
It's
See
so
ya.
good to meet with you and share space tonight. I'm excited about what's to come, and it was a productive meeting. So
Yes. Yes. Thank you
Thank you
so much,
very
you guys. You
much.
guys have a good evening.
you too. Yes. Reach
Thank you
out.
again.
Bye,
Yep.
Herberto. Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a good day. Thank you
Have a
again
good
for
night.
everybody.
Thanks.